Well, here we go again. Our website and inboxes and social media just lit up this week with people wanting to know how we can keep saying the San Felipe and Rancho Costa Verde are both so safe and all the violence going on in Mexico. My answer hasn't changed in the 3 years we've been down here. Not one bit. And it's simply this. One, San Felipe isn't Mexico at all. And two, violence lives on a three-legged stool. Remember that, a three-legged stool. First, Mexico and Baja are two separate worlds. And just like the U.S. has Hawaii, Mexico has Baja. So when you hear the evening news talking about the abductions and murders and violence and everything that's going on in Mexico, that's not Baja. And just like the god-awful killings and rapes and violence that go on in Detroit and Michigan and Memphis and Los Angeles, they aren't emblematic of the entire U.S. Well, neither is what happened in Matamoros, 1,500 miles away, indicative of what happens to people coming down to Baja. So the simple question I would have to ask you is this. Are you not going to come to California for some San Diego nightlife or Los Angeles for its cuisine or Beverly Hills for the shopping simply because they're rioting in Detroit or suffering from a recent school shooting and God knows where it's going to be next week? Of course not. You're smarter than that. That's one. San Felipe is in Mexico. And as for two, violence lives on a three-legged stool. What little crime there is in Baja is almost totally confined to Tijuana on the west coast and Cabo, the tip of the peninsula. Why? Because that's where the drug routes are, and that's where the money is, and that's where the crime is, a three-legged stool. Places like Matamoros and Tamaulipas, that's where more than 60% of the Mexican, South American, and Central American narcotics head. Right through that area on the way to the U.S. borders, to places like Brownsville, Texas, where those four unfortunate people decided to cross against all zip and were abducted. And that's the way much of mainland Mexico is, unfortunately, where the drug routes run, the money goes, so the violence follows. Violence lives on a three-legged stool, and the only leg that changes is the product leg. Watch. With drugs comes money, and with money comes crime. With prostitution comes money, and with money comes crime. With human trafficking comes money, and with money comes crime. It's as simple as that. You see, without the product, the other two legs can't exist because product needs a vehicle and a gateway. Again, the three-legged stool. And there are limited vehicles and gateways in Baja. Only Cabo and Tijuana are here for the gateways in the U.S., and only the Pacific Ocean is here for the vehicle. The Sea of Cortez, or as people call it, the Gulf of Mexico, goes nowhere. It falls more than 100 miles short of the U.S. border. So along the eastern coast of Baja, where San Felipe and Rancho Costa Verde live, there are zero gateways, zero vehicles, zero drugs, zero money, and zero crime. It's really just that simple. So the next time you see the violence of Mexico drug crime being splashed across your big screen TV, just consider the source, the media. And remember, to them, facts are subjective. If it bleeds, it leads. And if you are thinking of coming down and visiting our beautiful little adopted country down here, know this as well. For all the relative safety inside their hotels' gilded gates, outside, the real world where the locals and only a few pesos a day and the average salary for a police officer is less than $1,000 a month, cartel-related crime soars. In Cancun, the crime rate is 56.92 with a corresponding homicide rate of 64 per 100,000 people. In Acapulco, its overall crime rate is 61.63 with a corresponding homicide rate of 111 per 100,000 people. But here in San Felipe, where we have about 4 homicides in the last 10 years, I think. Well, 4 divided by 20,000 people, divided by 10, you do the math, but this much I do know. It's minuscule compared to anywhere in Mexico and probably the U.S., except for Mayberry, but that's a whole nother story. The bottom line is this. If you're coming to Mexico, investigate, use your common sense, or to be absolutely certain of a safe and wonderful time, just come on down to San Felipe and Rancho Costa Verde, of course, where we got all the paradise and none of the drama.